Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. Well, if you wanted any further evidence on how shallow and deceitful these ANC high-hanging fruit like Ramaphosa and all his ministry are, look no further than how they are looking after not just colonial artifacts, but their own roots of the ANC. I have a video attached here in which you'll see how even Winnie Mandela's house, which is supposed to have been refurbished and have a whole lot of artifacts in so it becomes a museum, has just been left to completely go into a state of dilapidation. And what about the guy who actually was the one who actually came up with the concept of the ANC way back in the early 1900s, about 1910 or 1913. What happened to his house, which was supposed to be made into a museum by the ANC government in recognition for his role? Well, you might be surprised. Just like the Nelson Mandela Museum at Qunu, which no longer operates because no one's been paid, there's no maintenance, and the whole thing has just gone in a big heap. It's just taken 26 years for these ANC gangsters who are running the country to completely forget their roots and just get self-absorbed in profiteering. Just 26 years. You know, pre-1994 there might have been corruption in government under the apartheid government. But look at the museums they maintained across the country to recognize and actually maintain the heritage and history. This ANC government has absolutely no interest in that at all, pre or post 1994. And to prove that point, watch the video. Please remember to register on lovinglifetv.com to be kept informed. That's the platform we're transitioning to. Please remember to subscribe to Loving Life on YouTube. Please ring the bell for updates on YouTube. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe. Bye for now.
Quiet, hidden, and obscure. This is Dagakral, an unassuming rural village in the heart of Mpumalanga. But if you dig deeper, a national treasure not known to many emerges. It may be falling apart, but its place in history is unquestionable. This was once the home of a pioneering lawyer and philosopher whose thinking helped shape South Africa's political landscape. His name is Dr. Pixlika Isaka Seme.
We are talking about a man that was ahead of time. During 1912, when ANC came about, he is actually the one that initiated the move of creating this organization. It must be known that ANC comes from Dagakral. It was formulated in Dagakral, acting against the Land Act of African Union Act 1910. 2 years down the line, Seme came up and went and registered African National Congress in Bloemfontein.
But this wasn't Seme's only contribution. As I continue to retrace his steps, I discover that he was an intellectual giant whose ideas stood the test of time.
Most writings on the origins of constitutional thinking or ideas of constitutionalism or individual rights or Bill of Rights locate the emergence of rights in the late 70s to mid 80s, primarily in white-run, white-led human rights organizations, the Lawyers for Human Rights, the Center for Applied Legal Studies, the Legal Resources Center. The emergence of those organizations is usually credited for creating a thinking or an awareness of the concepts of the Bill of Rights. But the historical record shows that as early as 1923, Seme was grappling with what the Bill of Rights for South Africa, particularly for Africans, might look like.
But considering Seme's immense contribution, one wonders why his house, where many of his ideas may have been born, has been allowed to fall into ruin.
It is shameful of us not looking after Seme. And you can imagine that place, we are talking about more than 4,000 hectares of land abandoned in this fashion. And look at his house now. And if you go to offices, the high offices of the current government, they hardly know who Seme is.
But the Sport, Arts and Culture Department disputes this, saying work is underway to recognize Seme and other freedom fighters.
The contribution of Dr. Pixley Kaseme features prominently in recognizing the legacy of Saul Mkhize, which is at a feasibility study phase. And the study is meant to identify and commemorate other legacies of stalwarts who have influenced the contribution of Saul Mkhize.
But in Brantford in the Free State, a similar story is playing out. The home of ANC stalwart Winnie Madikizela Mandela, which was meant to be turned into a museum as far back as 2005, still hangs in the balance. Again, government tries to reassure the nation, saying everything is on track.
The construction aspect of turning the property into a museum is complete, and the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture is now working on the development and installation of its exhibition and equipping the museum with content.
But considering the number of years it has taken to complete the controversial project, it's hard to believe the museum will finally see the light of day. And what is happening at the famous Mandela House in Soweto? Last year, South Africans were shocked to discover that the future of this tourist attraction was uncertain because the NPO tasked with its day-to-day running has been liquidated. This means the place may shut its doors and jobs lost. Again, the South African government says all is in hand.
The three tiers of government are working with all the parties, including family representatives and the liquidators, to reverse the liquidation decision and to ensure the museum continues to protect and promote the legacy it represents.
So 3 houses of prominent historic figures are in limbo. Is it a coincidence? Why do we as South Africans appear to be less enthusiastic about preserving our history? How do we create a strong national identity when we fail to protect the very symbols that should be helping us to do so? Perhaps these are the questions we need to answer with honesty, especially as we celebrate 27 years of democracy. A final thought to reflect upon: a plant whose roots are allowed to rot has no chance of standing tall like a baobab tree. Mpholakazi, Eyewitness News, Dagakral, Mpumalanga.